All right, let's talk about the future of work. And no, I don't just mean remote work or a 4-day week. We're digging into something much, much bigger. We're talking about a fundamental shift away from a model that's been running our lives for almost a century towards something completely new. This is a total re architecting of how we think about talent, value, and even what a company is. To really get what's happening, you first have to see the water we've all been swimming in. There's this invisible framework that has shaped our careers, our companies, our entire economy. It's called the labor pool, and for decades, it's been the default operating system for work. And this brings up a pretty wild question, right? We have technology that feels like it's from the future, but for so many of us, our jobs are structured like we're still in the 1950s. Why are so many companies still running on a playbook that's over 70 years old? So let's define our terms. This labor pool idea was really formalized by the legendary management guru Peter Drucker. And the keyword to focus on here is fungible. That's a fancy way of saying interchangeable. The idea viewed workers as resources, kind of like bricks, that could be allocated and managed by a hierarchy to build something. This wasn't an accident. It was a very deliberate design for the industrial age. But to understand why this powerful model is completely breaking down now, we've got to look at where it came from. The logic that built our modern corporate world didn't actually start in an office building. It started out in a field. For more than 100 years, there has been one simple, consistent logic driving everything: co-location. It started on the farm. Obviously, workers had to go to the land. Then, in the 1920s, factories just copied and pasted that logic. Workers had to go to the massive, super expensive assembly lines. And by the 1950s, the office was just the next evolution. It became the factory for knowledge workers. You had to go there because that's where the information was. That's where the early computers were. That's where the managers were. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. For the entire industrial era, the most valuable assets, whether it was land, machines, or information, were physically stuck in one place. So, of course, the people had to go to the assets. At the time, it made perfect economic sense. It was the only way to get things done. But then, something new came along. A technology emerged that started to systematically pull apart that entire logic. The very foundation that held up the whole farm, factory, office system began to develop some serious cracks. And you know what it was? The internet. Its first big act was to completely break the corporate monopoly on information. Suddenly, a brilliant developer in a small town had access to the exact same knowledge on GitHub as an engineer at a giant tech company in Silicon Valley. The core reason for the centralized office, access to information, was fundamentally gone. But the internet was really just the opening act. Today, there are 3 incredibly powerful technologies that are all converging at once to completely shatter that old model. We're talking about platforms, AI, and distributed manufacturing. First, platforms. Think Uber, Airbnb, YouTube. They don't own the cars, the apartments, or the video studios. They own the network. And that completely flips the old factory logic on its head. Instead of forcing creators to come to the capital, platforms bring the infrastructure and the customers directly to the creator, wherever they happen to be. Second, you've got AI. Now, this is not about robots replacing people. Think of AI as a cognitive partner, a collaborator. It's like having a world-class researcher, a brilliant strategist, and a coding expert on your team available 24/7. This technology gives a single person the leverage and the output of what used to be an entire department. It's a massive force multiplier for individual talent. And the final piece of this puzzle is a revolution in how we actually make physical things. The old model meant you needed a huge, centralized factory and tons of cash. The new paradigm, it's all about digital designs, local 3D printing, and on-demand manufacturing. This democratizes production. A single creator can now design a product, prototype it, and sell it to the entire world without ever needing to own a factory. So when you combine these 3 massive forces, the network effects of platforms, the intellectual leverage of AI, and the accessibility of distributed manufacturing, the old labor pool structure just collapses. And in its place, a completely new architecture for work is rising up, the creator network. And right here, you can see the difference clear as day. The old model is a rigid pyramid. It's top-down, with information controlled by managers acting as gatekeepers. The new model is a decentralized network. Coordination is handled by the platform, not a boss, and information flows transparently between the people making things and the people using them. This brings us to a really crucial and kind of controversial point. A role that was once absolutely essential can become a bottleneck. In a network that is designed for speed and direct connection, traditional layers of management can actually slow things down. They create friction, the source calls it impedance, instead of adding value. And you can see exactly why this is happening. Let's look at the traditional jobs of a manager. Allocating resources? Platforms do that with algorithms now. Routing information? We have tools like Slack for that. Quality control? AI can help with that, not to mention public reputation systems. The core functions of the job are literally being automated or just made irrelevant by technology. So, what does work actually feel like inside these new networks? Well, it's driven more by a personal vision than a formal job description. The real value you bring is your unique human judgment, while AI handles the routine stuff. And everything you need, from knowledge to production to even team members, is assembled just in time. Let's make this super concrete. Think about software development. The old way was a team of programmers in a corporate office getting marching orders from a project manager. The new way? It can be one person, anywhere in the world, using an AI copilot to write code, collaborating with a global community on GitHub, and coordinating everything on Discord. Or what about content? It used to be controlled by giant publishing houses and TV studios. Now, an individual writer on Substack or a creator on YouTube can build a massive audience all by themselves, completely bypassing the old gatekeepers. This isn't some far-off prediction. It's already here. Okay, so this transition is a really big deal, and the stakes are high for all of us. It's forcing organizations to fundamentally rethink their strategies, and it's demanding a whole new set of skills from individuals. The choice isn't whether to engage with this new economy, but how quickly we can adapt. For companies, just clinging to that old labor pool model is a losing game. The winners are going to be the ones who shift from trying to own talent to orchestrating networks. Their job will be to empower creators with the best tools and the most transparent systems, not to manage them from the top down. And for us, as individuals, this new world offers incredible freedom, but it also demands more from us. Success isn't about compliance anymore. It's about self-direction. It's about how well you can collaborate with AI, how skilled you are at building a community, and your commitment to being a lifelong learner in a world that's changing faster than ever. This really says it all, doesn't it? The entire center of economic gravity is shifting. Value isn't in controlling a pool of labor anymore, it's in empowering a network of creators. It is a massive move from management to enablement. So we'll end right where we began, with a choice. This evolution is happening right now, restructuring entire industries before our eyes. The only real question is where you're going to fit in. In this new world, will your value come from being managed, or will it come from your ability to create?